leaving any relationship is difficult. Leaving a narcissistic relationship seems to be harder.
Oh, absolutely.
Why is it harder, and how do they leave?
Many times people leave narcissistic relationships from a place of frustration, exasperation, fear, confusion. These are not healthy states. I mean, ending a relationship is always difficult, but if it was a relationship with two healthy people in it, they may simply be able to acknowledge we grew apart and this hurts, and thank you for being a part of my life. And not saying nobody gets hurt. It can hurt, and it can hurt badly. But in a narcissistic relationship, by the time you get to the breakup point, there have been lies, deceit, anger, rage, all kinds of negative situations. It's confusing. Now, a couple of other things happen too. Many times when people leave narcissistic relationships, they've tried everything. They've tried to change the person, which obviously was never going to work. But they keep trying. I'm going to convince them. I'm going to show them the error of their ways. But one of the big fears that keeps people in narcissistic relationships and makes it hard to leave is this idea that the minute they leave the relationship, the narcissist is going to change and be a better person for the next person they date. I hear that all the time. He's going to change, and now he's going to be really great to this next person. I said, why would that happen? They're going to go through exactly what you went through. If anything, you should send them a condolence card now.
Right.
But
well, and even
convinced.
if they did change for somebody else, they're not changing for you, so who cares?
And they're not going to change.
And
I mean, it's even more
that,
absolute,
right,
but they're not changing for you.
Right.
And many times narcissists trade into a new relationship very quickly because relationships are so superficial for them. For the rest of us, leaving a relationship that meant something to us, or even that was just confusing, our roots went deep. So it takes a while before you can reconstitute and enter a new relationship. Narcissists, boom. They've often replaced you by next Saturday night. They'll post it on social media. It's really, really destabilizing for people. So that means, though, that there's a word for it. When people are in narcissistic relationships that end, now all of a sudden the narcissist gets interested again, and now they want to go back to love bombing. So they do something called hoovering. Hoovering. And hoovering is when you suck someone back into a relationship. Baby, I miss you. I didn't realize how good I had it with you. Every time. You know, I really messed up. If I'd known what a gift and an angel you were, I'd be the luckiest.
Saying this, it sounds so good.
Oh yeah. And
I would love to be told that.
It's everything you ever wanted to hear. So you either have got nerves of steel, or most people fall back down the rabbit hole. And they say, okay, let's talk. And then for a while, the narcissist might even act different. There'll be it's love bombing part two.
Love bomb 2.0.
And so they go through that again, and boom, back to the discard, the cycle starts again. Now, if you do leave them, expect hoovering might happen. It doesn't always, but it might. Expect that you'll probably be traded out really quickly and replaced very quickly, which can hurt. If you leave them, you can also expect, if you're married to them, it's going to get really messy really fast. Messy custody, messy divorce, messy cutting up the assets. They may often do something called enlisting flying monkeys. Flying monkeys are the people who were close to both of you in the relationship, your family, your friends, and they'll start to try to turn all of them against you. Hey, just so you know, you think your sister's such a great gal, she did this, this, and this, and they'll tell them all these lies, and then now these people will start turning against the poor person who left the narcissist, and this flying monkeys phenomenon actually can often re-traumatize a person after they do the hard work of leaving a relationship. It works sometimes, it doesn't work all the time, but they might be able to sort of mobilize friends who were sort of on the fringes of the relationship, people who really know you. That's a bit harder. But it can also be dangerous. A narcissist does not like to be left.
So they are going to fight and almost, it sounds like, be revengeful.
Oh, very much so. They're very vindictive. And so they just don't like that it looks bad for their ego to be left. They may have had a plan. They may have thought, you're taking my kids from me, all kinds of things, despite they had no interest in being a father or mother to them while you were in the relationship. But now that you're saying this isn't healthy anymore, they don't want to hear about it. If you do go into couples therapy, they often hijack the couples therapy. They often try to charm or win over the therapist, making the person who's enduring the abuse look like a crazy person, literally like a crazy person.
And they do so successfully with the
very
therapist.
much so, all the time. All the time.
The therapist even gets sucked into it.
All the time. And so a lot of people are afraid to enter couples therapy with a narcissistic partner unless they've got a therapist who's really well trained in these issues. And they And so they hijack the systems. And so at this point, people, when they finally do leave narcissistic relationships, they have been thinking about this for months, if not years. It is a very slow process of trying to extricate from these relationships. So it's going to be messy, it's going to be painful, no matter what, whether they replace you quickly, whether they don't, whether they make it a messy and painful divorce, or whether they really threaten to stalk a person. That's not unusual. They'll stalk them, they'll bother them through social media. Sometimes people have to block them, which is hard if you've got kids. A lot of times the courts, judges, mediators, custody evaluators, lawyers don't get this. They're like, come on, why can't you come to the table? And I'm like, oh my God, they can't come to the table. This isn't going to work. So we've got a ways to go to educate people. Now, on the flip side, if your narcissist leaves you, of course, my temptation is to throw you a parade and say, you are lucky.
You did it.
But that's not how people feel. They feel abandoned. They feel like, I've done everything and this person has the nerve to leave me.
Is it likely that a narcissist would leave someone?
Heck yeah, they replace people all the time. They trade partners. They want someone younger.
They trade up.
Yeah, they trade up. I would say they trade down because the person they've left is probably usually a solid, loving person.
Yeah.
But they'll choose someone younger, someone richer, someone they met at work, and they will think nothing of just switching out like that. And so people will feel very hurt. A narcissist typically will not leave a relationship unless they've got someone already waiting in the wings. That would be too much of an ego blow for them. So that under those conditions, they may very well leave. But most commonly, narcissists like to have their cake and eat it too. If they're married, they're going to try to have the affair on the side and make it all work, and be so surprised when they are told, oh, you can't have both. So sometimes these things can sort of blow up in their faces. But it is messy.
How do you prepare to leave a narcissist?
Preparing to leave a narcissist is no small task, because if you have kids and it's going to be a legal mess, you're not doing this divorce via mediation. You're going to need an attorney, and you're going to need an attorney who understands narcissism, which is not all of them. So you have got to do your due diligence. You've got to get all your financials in order. You have got to know what you're dealing with, because if a narcissist senses you're going to leave them, they'll sometimes start spending money, moving assets. Like this is war. Yeah. And so, but you can't start screaming and yelling war. You need to very quietly behind the scenes do your preparation, figure out where the money is, who's got what. So if they do start moving and hiding money, you'll be able to at least sort of know what's going on and be able to, get what belongs to you.
Yes.
In terms of custody, though, that's the most painful. By and large, courts in the United States want to award joint custody. And many times, the narcissistic parent will fight for custody, not even because they're equipped to be a decent parent, but to stick it to the person who's leaving them.